We actually have been working on it for some time, getting bids in place and everything, but we're implementing an improved K12 network in Arkansas. So, and the goal is to get to 200 kilobits per student, faculty, and staff. So it's going to greatly improve. The minimum standard, recommended standard for this year was 100 previously, and we were about middle of the pack with about 50% meeting that standard. This is going to double that standard over the next 2 years. We'll have that fully implemented. So. The biggest effort we have at all is implementing for the Affordable Care Act. So huge implementation effort, complex rules, fast-moving project. So I think version 1 of that has been completed, and they're working on improvements on that and everything. So I don't know if anything ground-shattering is coming through in this next year, like consumerization of IT is still hitting, so everything's going more and more mobile. Social media is being driven into the workplace more and more, but the next big thing, I think cloud is a big effort going on. These are all things that have been going on for a couple of years now, though. So. We have 2 things going on. We had a new administration come in this January. The Affordable Care Act project, we had already been working with the Department of Human Services, but it's gotten a fair amount of attention in Arkansas. So we've partnered with Gartner to do a study on that project and have put together a future roadmap, what's the best for Arkansas and the dollars in Arkansas. So we've coordinated very tightly with the governor's office and been interfacing with the legislature on that. So, and along those veins, a lot of the questions that have come up through this effort, there's been a huge IT governance effort come up in Arkansas. So the legislature wants to see any procurements over $100,000 before any work starts on them, and report on anything over $25,000. In his first cabinet meeting, the governor's office announced that any IT procurement over $100,000 would come through our office for review before it could move forward. So, so that kind of shows that we're working with the legislature and the executive branch both. It definitely puts the bullseye on us to keep things moving in state government, and we're looking forward to see how that goes. Can fully know what's going on in the state, leverage enterprise architecture hopefully to its fullest, and be a more efficient operation. You know, Arkansas's typically been a decentralized state, so all the agencies were moving off on their own, making their own decisions. So, and there's been struggles with that. So making sure Arkansas can work and talk together, and part of what is being discussed along with this government is more oversight to make sure they have good business plan, project plans in place, and doing that kind of external status checking that you wouldn't necessarily get if an agency was doing it onto its own. Of course, you're continuing to be asked to do more and more with less and less. As we see layoffs, it's harder and harder to refill those spots. So automation is a big factor, as much as you can do to streamline and, and automate processes. So from commissioning to decommissioning new services and everything. So. We're definitely trying to figure out a way to engage the younger generation. Think about the new generation. They definitely hop around a lot more than they did a generation or 2 ago. So even if you get somebody, don't expect to keep them for too long necessarily. So with that, you've got to be pretty efficient, bringing them up to speed, onboarding them and everything. And also, finding those people with the perfect skill sets is harder and harder to do. So you need to look at smart, trainable people that you can bring on board. You know, one of the things that you hear about is the clustering. I'd like to capture that and try to get a whole group of them in at once. They say that that's a big improvement, but the socialization and consumerization, I think a big part of that is a push from that generation. So I think that's the biggest impact that they've had. Some of the things that we're looking at, the state had a large provider in the area that consolidated and moved out. Verizon moved its headquarters operations out of Arkansas, which left an opportunity for a very reasonably cost data center. So about the cost we would have paid just for generators and everything, we accumulated an entire building. So working with the legislature and the executive branch, we're really pushing to consolidate. We've got over 25 data centers in Arkansas. So now some of them may be a server under somebody's desk or a broom closet, which the life and reliability of those environments are suspect. So that's a big push, is to get some data center consolidation as a first effort with this administration coming in.